Hello, everybody. I want to talk about how to move on from a relationship. Um, this is whether or not you're having to deal with someone that you've basically dug in, that you've had children with. Now, you can't necessarily pull yourself out of that relationship because there's going to be a certain amount of times that you have to deal with the other person. But you have to learn how to emotionally detach from them. And it's hard to do. It's hard to detach from them, and you trusted them, and the thing is that relationship was not real. There was nothing real about it. It was all a fantasy that you built in your head. And because you found out when you did, you should be happy. Because you could have really ended up destroying your life with someone that was going to be distrusting and someone that was going to try to take complete advantage of you. The person that you thought they were is not who they are. They showed you that, and you know, once they show you that, you can, most of the time we end up taking them back. Sometimes 1, 2, 3 times, sometimes 4 times. And this goes with anybody that's, a trustworthy person, a good person. Because there's just something about this chemical makeup in our brain that makes us believe that we have to have this person to function normally. They made you believe that they were a good, trustworthy person, but by their actions, it basically threw up red flags. Person was not who you thought they were. It was basically all a lie. Every bit of it. Their actions proved it. So you have to get over it, and you cannot let their actions inhibit your mind. You have to deal with it. They already showed you the what was real by their actions. So you have to deal with letting it go. Just be thankful that you found out that they were a liar, untrustworthy, and unfaithful. When you did. Now, there was always red flags about it. And those red flags should have came up a lot sooner than what they did. For a lot of us. But you also have to recognize that are actually good, trustworthy people out here. And there's a whole lot of them. And you can find one of them. But you don't want to actually jump into a relationship. See, this is how you always know what you're dealing with this certain group of people. You know, the ones that are untrustworthy and unfaithful, they're in another relationship before they even get out of the one they're in. And, you know, just be thankful that you found out before you invested more time in it. Don't think that that person is the only one, because they're certainly not the only one. There are plenty other people that would be happy to be with you. They would. There's a lot of other men. If you're a woman, that there's a lot of men out here that would just adore to have someone that was trustworthy and faithful. And if you're a man, there's a lot of women out here that want someone that's trustworthy and faithful, that's got your back. But when this happens to us, it makes us question ourselves. It makes us question our own mentality. Because how could we let this go on for so long? Even though we saw red flags, we were too busy thinking about the good things instead of looking at the red flags that were being popped up every year. We think that our judgment is bad. And we think that we weren't a good judge of character because we allowed this to happen to us. The only way that you can build that trust back is to build that trust back with yourself. It's not going to take, it can't take another person to build that trust back. See, this is what happens with those type of people. Is they never actually understand what trust is and what being faithful is, because they're already in another relationship. So they're never going to understand that. The only way that you can get the trust back is to actually take time for yourself. It's okay to be alone. Matter of fact, it's probably a lot funner, to be honest. You don't have to worry about anything but yourself that way. And I know that a lot of people would say that sounds selfish, but I mean, if you only have to worry about yourself, you could take time to read, write, learn, work out, learn new skills. You can do whatever you want to with that time that you have. Production is the key. I mean, you have to really think about it. How many times have you not gotten a call or a text because someone's battery ran dead, or there was something happening with their phone, or some crazy bullshit that they come up with? When you really know down deep that that is not true. Look at all the red flags that were put out in front of you. That's all you have to do. And then that perception of reality comes back. And learn from the mistakes that you made. If you start talking to someone else again and you see those same red flags, well, you may give them one chance, and then you see those same red flags again. No more chances, right? If you let it happen 3 or 4 times, well, it's basically your fault. But also, you have to be very you have to be very careful about not trusting again. I mean, if you think about, people that deal with criminals, right? Think about it like this. Your brain, let's say for instance that you're an interrogator or you're a cop. You're dealing with criminals all fucking day long, basically. And these people are lying to you constantly. And it causes your brain to synchronize to that way of thinking, that everyone's a liar. Everyone is dishonest. Everyone is unfaithful. You can't put your mind into that way of thinking. Because there are people out here that are good people. There are people out here that are faithful. And there are people out here that are people that would have your back. But you also want to be suspicious of everyone. And you don't want to jump into something too fast. You want to give it time to let them prove themselves to you, that they're a good person. But you want to take small steps. You always want to look and see exactly what's going on. You never want to give 100% trust, because, I mean, once you give 100% trust to someone and they break that, it just tears you apart. It literally just tears you completely down. Especially if you do that right out of the gate with someone. And I'm guilty of it. Most people are. Most people have fell down that rabbit hole. Don't trust anyone until they've earned the trust. You also have to understand that being in a relationship is no different than being an alcoholic. There's chemicals inside your brain that make you believe that you have to literally have this person. And that your life's not going to go on without them, which is completely bogus. It's not real. You can't allow yourself to get into that mindset, because once you do, you're going to be moping around and just crying, and you're going to be talking to your buddies and stuff like that. Pictures, you need to get rid of them. Burn them motherfuckers if you have to, or have your buddies burn them. Pour fucking gasoline on those motherfuckers and just let them up, light them up on fire. Because you already know what that person is. You've seen it. You've seen the red flags that were thrown out, and you've seen how they destroyed you. Now, over time, that chemical inside your brain, it's going to wear it off. And that's what happens when those red flags start coming out. You'll start seeing them. It just takes a long time. And normally when that happens, you're going to say to yourself, what the fuck was I thinking? What was I doing? It's just like being a drug addict or an alcoholic. Exactly. 100% to the T. All you have to do, if you're in a relationship with someone, is pull out your phone and use logic, use reason, and you can see the manipulation. You can see what they were doing and how they were painting it out. How they were keeping you. But how many other people were they keeping at the same time? These type of people, it's like they have trophies that they hang from their keychain. And That's just what they do. You cannot allow that to even be part of your. If you keep allowing that to happen in your life, you're never going to be happy. You're better off being alone. And don't think that this person is essential to you. You built that perception in your brain, and those chemicals will not allow you to let go, just like alcohol will not allow an alcoholic to let go. Even though that alcoholic knows that when he drinks his bones hurt, because he wakes up and has hangovers and has to drink again to feel normal. Goes through detox all the time. It's no different at all. This is the reason why you'll find a lot of these type of people with alcoholics and addicts, because that's what they do. That's because they know that this person's already addicted to something, and they already know the brain's screwed up, so they know that it's easier to manipulate. It's very hard. It's very, very hard to actually stop that feeling. And you really can't even really get it through to someone's head. You could talk to someone, and it's just like with me. If someone had told me, look at this, man, what are you doing? Look at what this isn't right, What are you doing? I wouldn't have believed them. And that's the thing. That's basically what you have to understand, is that fantasy that you built in your head was just a damn fantasy. It wasn't nothing more than that. It was just a bunch of bullshit, basically. And it was just like a fairy tale. It was nothing more than that. Do not run your life over someone that is mentally or physically abusive. The framework that we put inside of our brains when this happens, the only thing it does is allow us to go back to the good parts. That's all it does. It's just like drinking. Because you know that when you drink, you're going to get that big buzz going on, and you're going to feel good. So it makes you ignore the red flags that are in front of you. Even though you know that you're taking a chance on becoming an alcoholic, becoming an addict. And you don't even have to actually talk, you don't even have to actually be in the same room with the person for this to happen. Because your brain it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship, a long distance relationship or a short distance relationship. If you're talking every day and then all of a sudden the person disappears, then comes back 3 months later and starts talking to you, well, you let that go for a little bit, and then you start talking to them again. They build that trust back up again, and then they do the same exact thing. Eventually, you're going to get to the point to where you're going to flip out. Then it's going to be all turned around on you. This, you know, and then if you let them back in again, it's your fault. You already knew what they were. So that's one of the main reasons why it should be easier for you to get over it and move on with your life. You already knew. You already knew you already knew exactly what they were about. Red flags, like a woman bringing up men's names all the time and doing all this stuff and just trying to like make you jealous or something like that. Which they don't even think anything of it because they have all those trophies on a keychain. They don't think anything about that because they are someone that actually jumps from person to person until they get old and they can't get anyone else. And then they realize that, you know, they messed up in life, and then they're blaming everyone else. Don't be the one that does that. Don't be the one that blames everyone else for what you did. If you want a good person, lose the one that is doing you wrong and find one that actually cares about you, that actually loves you, and will put forth the effort to be in your life. If you don't do that, then it's your fault. It's your fault when you get 60 years old or 70 years old and you ain't got nobody, and nobody wants nothing to do with you. That's reality.